Hello. Right, so this is another one, but with AoE this time. It seems it's the more requested one, probably for obvious reasons, but you know, it's here now. So yeah, optimizing AoE damage in Mythic Plus. This is a Kyrian. I understand that 915 is coming out in a couple of days, so I'll try to do some other ones. Maybe Necrolord, but for now let's focus on Kyrian because it is the best one currently. So, your damage profile is constant damage, yeah? It's not CD reliant. I imagine if you're like a boomkin or something, you took away the cooldowns, they would do nothing. The entire dungeon. You take away all your cooldowns from a survival hunter, not much is gonna happen. You know, you might lose the burstiness, yeah, but you still be able to put out loads of damage. This is the assumed build. You can see that this is going to be... I've basically used the previous single target slides, but I've edited it a fair bit. But yeah, it's the same build. See, this is what I mean when I was on the single target one. You basically run the same build, and the single target you just want to make the most out of it, and this is where, you are building because of AoE, right? This is why. Yeah, hi, Kalliko from the future here. I thought I'd quickly just put in something about trinkets, because probably some people think, why do you go ocular gland and file, and why is that most popular? Why I don't really make a section about it anyway. Basically, they're just two trinkets you don't really need to worry about, and they do really good stuff. Yeah, the ocular gland is really hard to pass up, because it is just so much haste. Yeah. I mean, I think it adds like 120 haste. And the file, that's just so much damage for both single target, and it works well in AoE as well. And then the other ones, you can use these, but what I would say is the 3-minute one, the cube, this like doesn't really work well with anything. Like for even for me, yeah, I'm gonna go in later that I've got 3-minute cooldowns. It doesn't. If you use Jotun, it will put the cube on a 20-second cooldown before you can use it, and vice versa. If you use this, it will put Jotun on a 20-second cooldown. So it makes your cooldowns really janky, and then it's just another thing to worry about. So I don't like it. And then sort of the same with the anima battery. It gives a load of haste. It is nice, but it doesn't work well with any cooldowns. You could argue that it works well with the resonating arrow if you're getting it every 40 seconds, because it would be like every other one you could use this. But I just don't like the way it syncs up, and how powerful file is. I wear it, I don't need to worry about it. That's it, it's done. Yeah. Hi, Kalliko from the future again. Sorry, this is the last button. Forget about the anima powers again. Personally, I would just say the most simple ones to take are Dagger and Champion's Brand. Out of the damage ones anyway, won't bother going the other ones. It's just damage wise, yeah. I mean, this is going to give you loads of crit. Crit is good, and the Dagger is just really high damage. But I mean, this is kind of unrelated to survival, but it's DPS as a whole. Like, on certain weeks, on certain dungeons, this is a good one to take. You know, communicate with the team. Sometimes the knockback is good. Knock up. Obviously, on a sanguine week, this is a no-go. And then this one, I used to take this. I used to play around with this, but I just don't like the fact that it does nothing before 30%. That's my only thing. It actually does loads of damage, but most of your burstiness comes from the start of the pull, where you put all your cooldowns, and this is doing nothing, whereas the Champion's Brand does something. Yeah. So yeah, I would just say take the Dagger and Brand, unless there is a good reason to take Plumage. Yeah. Right, so the main things that are doing damage here is mainly bombs. Yeah, you got the actual bomb, and then you got a legendary, but it all comes from the bomb. You got all these things down here that, you know, obviously do damage as well, but in an AoE setting, it's basically just the bomb. So we are basing everything around that. The stats. So I've got a sim here, but I've got my own personal analysis here. So agility is number 1. Agility increases everything. Gives you attack power, everything scales with attack power, yeah. Next, I'm going to put haste. On a sim, it doesn't come up very well, because the reason why haste is so good is because of how it interacts with the cooldowns, yeah. But on a sim, I don't think it's really taking in the CD reduction, and especially if there's more than 5 targets, yeah, or 5 targets or more, because it should be way up there, but it isn't. So personally, that's just my suspicion that it doesn't calculate that as well as it should. And then versatility is just, I would get more haste for sure, and you need more haste anyway to make sure you're proccing the Titanic ocular gland to make sure that's haste. But yeah, versatility is good. I try to get around like 17%, or yeah, around there, because it increases damage slightly. But more importantly, on higher keys, you want it for the damage reduction, which is always good in the AoE and boss setting. Yeah. Crit is also very good. Yeah. But the thing is that if you're a Kyrian, you get loads of crit from the resonating area. You get 30% crit for 10 seconds. Yeah. And you get that every pack because of the CDR reduction. It's on like a 40-second cooldown. So 10 seconds out of 40 with 30% crit is pretty big, yeah. So there's no real point statting for crit if that's going to happen. And then don't talk about mastery, it's irrelevant in AoE. So haste, the reason why it's so good is that all of these abilities scale with it, yeah. Yeah, focus generation, attack speed, whatever, but it's these things, yeah. So this is the breakdown. The top here is me just standing in Ouroboros, and then this is how. So if you got like a standard build, yeah, you just do the first big pull of a dungeon, you are most likely just going to have the Hammer of Genesis, which is the thing for Mechanicos. Everyone should have that. And Bloodlust. You should be running Bloodlust in a group, yeah. So that's, it'll go down to 9.103. And then me personally, I'm a troll. I have Jotun. They're both 3-minute cooldowns. So on a big pull for me, this is what usually goes down to for me. 8 seconds and 2.7. And then if you're really greedy, you can have all of that plus power infusion and get it down to 6.4 and 2.1. It's pretty nuts. Yeah, so you can imagine you actually struggle to use every global efficiently. You won't be able to do anything but these 2 abilities because they'll just be coming off cooldown so fast. Yeah. So yeah, haste is king. Well, actually, no, agility is king, but haste next. Yeah, I've included this here again because it is still relevant. The battle shout is the ideal party buff, and then the DH is actually better than a monk for AoE. But again, these are things you don't really have much control over, but it's just, you know, nice to know. Right, I'm going to leave this here. You can pause it and read it if you want, but I'm kind of going into the detail in the next slide. The blue bomb in an AoE setting doesn't really matter too much, yeah. But you throw it, you're most likely going to carve afterwards. This is something you don't really need to think about, but it's just nice to know. You know, you're going to apply the bleed. It is possible to do the second carve in the 6-second window, of course, which applies the double stack, but this internal bleeding damage is so minimal damage, you don't really need to worry about it. It's just going to happen anyway, yeah? The red bomb, this just, use this to proc strength of the pact, yeah? Just that 8% increased damage, which is now increasing everything, yeah? In a big pool, you're most likely going to have coordinated assault, so you don't really need to worry about that too much, but again, these are things just nice to keep in the back of your head. Volatile, green bomb. This is the kind of big bomb for AoE settings. So, ideally you want to be opening up a pool with serpent stings. I'll go into why later. And then, once everything is grouped up, you throw the green bomb, it refreshes it, you get the extra damage. So, personally, if I'm killing a pack, and we're getting to the end of it, and then there's like 1 or 2 mobs left, I'm just throwing bombs still. And then I'm on 0 charges and I've got a green bomb left, yeah? I would leave that, I won't throw another bomb, especially if I know that the next pack is big. I won't throw the green bomb, I'll just single target until these 2 things are down. And then when I go into the next pack with 2 charges active, and I've got a green bomb ready, you know, it's nice to check out the serpent stings, and then go into the pack straight away with the green bomb. Because sometimes you can go in with a blue bomb, and then you throw the blue, you get a red, and then you just don't get a green, and it's just kind of annoying because you don't get the refresh or the extra damage. So I just like to keep one in the chamber, as I like to say. Yeah, this is stuff you probably already know, but I'll go over it anyway. The bomb goes in a cone, so you have your target which you throw the bomb at, and then it's going to hit everything behind it in a cone shape. So essentially just don't target the thing at the back from where you're standing. Just make, as you're moving around the pack, you know, ideally you want to be the tank is somewhere, got all the mobs, you just want to be behind everything and just pick the thing closest to you. Cluster throws things around it. I'm assuming that it just hits everything around. You don't really need to change your positioning for cluster, but change your positioning for the bomb damage. Because if I pull up a damage meter from just Darken Wood, 22 DOS. So you got to think about how the damage is split, yeah. I mean, on a damage meter, it looks like the cluster's doing all of it, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I shouldn't position. I shouldn't need to prioritize positioning, but you got to remember the bombs, they separate by name, but if you put all of them together, it is actually more damage than cluster. So you are still getting mostly damage from the actual impact of the bomb rather than cluster. So the way in which you're throwing them does still matter, yeah. And cooldowns, don't really think about them a whole lot. Coordinated assault is like the most boring cooldown in the game. It's just press it, do 20% more damage, yeah? So I just think of this as a nice bonus. Obviously in a big pool, if you've got a massive pool coming up, aim to have this off cooldown, yeah? But, you know, don't stress about not having it off cooldown. Resonating Arrow is kind of the one that I would consider your actual cooldown, but it's on such a short one, because in an AoE setting it's on 40-second cooldown. So this is going to be up for every pack anyway, so it's almost like it's ingrained in your kit anyway. But the reason why it's such a big cooldown, you put it down, 30% crit, you've got, as you can see, up to 14.5% extra damage to everything. Ideally have strength of the pack go off as well, So it's just a lot of increased damage on top of having 30% crit. And this is why we considered bursty, yeah? Again, these are like nice bonuses to your bombs. These cooldowns don't change how you do your rotation at all, they just increase the damage of it, yeah? And these are what I like to call bonus cooldowns. So yeah, like I said earlier, personally, I have these two. I am a troll, and I have Jotun. They're both 3-minute cooldowns, so they're macro together. I just press one button and bam, big things happen, and that's like a 90% haste, and I just think of it as my own personal PI every 3 minutes, which is pretty good. Yeah, for haste, for this spec, it's pretty big. And then, yeah, if you're an orc, you could just pair that together. I'm just trying to think of other ones, but in terms of damage, that's it really. Right, to me, this is how an ideal pull looks like, yeah? So you're not in combat yet. You're approaching the pack. Your tank looks like they're going, or they communicate to you that they're going. You misdirect. You just put serpent stings out on different targets, yeah? So, you don't want to throw a bomb yet, because everything's not grouped up. Yeah, the tank's going to get aggro, but you're not going to really hit everything. Unless everything is clumped up already, it's just better to just put the serpent stings out. Transfer aggro that way, and then you're readying yourself up to have a good volatile bomb refresh, yeah? And serpent sting does quite a lot of damage anyway, so it's just good to spread those out. And then once everything's grouped up, put everything down, you're resonating pop all CDs, pop a pot, then you throw the bomb, you carve, and then you basically just go by this list of priority, yeah? So the most important thing is get your second charge out. If you have 2 charges, and the reason why I put that there, because people might be thinking, oh yeah, that's like really fucking obvious, but if you have that amount of haste at the bottom, if your cooldowns are that short at the bottom, getting 2 charges of bomb is really easy, yeah? So, yeah, anyway. Yeah, carve is the most important thing, really. This is the thing you want to be having off cooldown the most. I put kill command here because, yeah, if you're really low on focus and that's going to stop you carving when it comes off cooldown, that's kind of bad, yeah? So, whilst you're not kill commanding as much as throwing the last charge of bomb, it is definitely more important if you are low on focus. And then, yeah, throw the bomb to get the damage out. Yeah? So, I don't know if you want to pause that, I might put a clip here too. But, yeah, that's it. And then I would basically do this until you've got like 3 targets left or so. Because then you can start swapping between single target. Because if it's like a big dude in the pack, I think I'll put a DOS clip here. If it's the death speaker, then that's going to have way more HP, and then you kind of switch to single target for a bit, yeah? But yeah, at the start of a pull to near the end of the pull, this is basically it. Right. Okay. So, I consider the spec a hybrid. It's a melee and a ranged kind of. So in single target, it's a melee class, yeah? There's no real getting around that. But in an AoE setting, you gotta think about it. Most of your abilities are 40-yard range, yeah? You only really need to be in melee for carve. If you've got like 8 targets in a pull, your melee damage, like your auto attacks, and you shouldn't be rapid striking anyway. Your auto attacks, like, who cares? Yeah. If nothing is going to kill you, then sure, stay in the pack. Yeah. But there are some packs, like in Halls, Deadly Thrust. Unless you're targeting Deadly Thrust and really looking out for it, it is very easy to just miss it. Or Sweeping Blow in Spires. These are things that, like, it's just, there's so much shit going on in an AoE pull. Sometimes it's just hard to miss, especially in Halls, where like you do a massive shard pull, and you've got like 2 or 3 deadly thrusts going on. So sometimes I just like to just take a step back, and I do my rotation, and I go into carve and move out. Or like you can disengage, do all your shit, harpoon and carve, and then move out. You know, just like bob and weave. You know, just dip in for the carve and come back out. Because if you die, yeah, you're not dealing anything. Yeah, I watched some people on stream, and they say that, you know, you should be melee all the time. Yeah, but then I also consider them to be one of the people that die the most in high keys. And like, I don't think I die a lot in my keys, and I think it's because I'm very cautious, because I have this in my head, this slide basically. I have this mindset of just staying alive, using my kit and using the specs tools and utility of having 40 yard to stay alive. Yeah, not dying is most certainly a DPS increase. Yeah. And it's just kind of small things, just a couple pulls, where this sort of thing is irrelevant. Remember, you've got some things that the more targets are in a pull, you get these benefits, yeah? So, Hammer of Genesis, every other target gets you 3% haste and it stacks. Carve, more targets, reduce cooldown. And the Shard, more targets, 3% extra damage, yeah? So, the collections in halls. Stealthings and playful. Don't let other people deal with the stealthings. Go over, grab a carve, by just carving once, yeah, you get all 3 of those benefits. Yeah, nothing crazy, but just something to think about. And then, yeah, I kept this here from the previous one because this is still relevant. Yeah, mainly the core, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's it really. It's not, again, this spec is not very complicated, but there are some nuances and some things. This is my favorite because, dude, if you can get that bottom one to happen, oh my god, that is, you actually feel godlike. It's crazy. Anyway, I might put a clip at the end like I did last time, just to show you what a good pull looks like. But yeah, if you've got any questions, put it in the comments. It's been nice to see people put comments and ask questions, and, you know, looking forward to for this video specifically. Yeah. Anyway, I will think to do some sort of 915 thing, comparing the New Covenant changes. There's nothing happening to the spec, as far as I know. Unless something changes since I record this, which I really fucking hope it doesn't. Yeah. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one, and thanks for watching, you know. Take care, bye.